departments, general and senior managers from local municipalities, officials, formalized business sector, business owners, ladies and gentlemen, and as we say in South Africa, all protocol observed, then you're safe. MEC Mokoena started this morning addressing us basically on the province and his responsibility within the province. And then you have district municipality levels, and then you come to where we are currently, and that is at local government level. And as a unit, and Marcus said that this morning, is that I might be the only doctor, but there's a huge team standing behind me. You will see my team, they're everywhere. You don't know it, but it's because of them that the Economic Summit is a success. There's always somebody at the front, like the executive mayor is the leader of the municipality, but it's really the team that it is actually making. And you can only as a leader be as good as your team. I don't think even my team is inside, but I just want to thank them from the bottom of my heart. Mbombela local municipality, as you can see, where we are situated on the northeastern side of the country. It's the most beautiful province, first of all, for those who do not know it. I know we have some friends from other provinces, and the municipality was basically formed in 2000 when we merged with Hazyview, Nelspruit, and White River Local Council. And I think it's the best municipality in the South Africa in any case. We can brag. Now, according to Stats SA, unfortunately, we are governed by rules in government, is that we always need to use the last census. This year was census, but according to the 2001 census, our population is basically 527,000 people, and the average household size is 384. Now, everybody that's in local government knows that this is not the correct figures, and we have lots more people in the municipality. So we're really looking forward to the new stats that's going to come out. I think this is where our work basically started. If you have a look at it, you will see that the population, what is the economic active people, unemployed people, and then the unemployment rate. I have just there, just to show you, is we've got South Africa with an unemployment rate of 41.6, Mpumalanga province 43, eThekwini 42, and Mbombela local municipality 37.8. Just looking at that gives us sleepless nights in our municipality, because it means that 37.8% of the people staying on the outside do not have a job. And sometimes that can become overwhelming if you're in front and you need to lead a local economic development department. And it's important for us to see what we can do to make the living conditions of our people better. The number of people with an income less than 1,600, or for our American friends, that's about $200 per month. That is 43.1%. And those who have no income, it's 42.6%. And only 11.45% of all people earn more than 3,500 rand per month. If you have a look at our employment per economic sector, and MEC Mokoena has addressed this already, I just put it according to our needs, is basically that you will see wholesale and retail constitute 22.1%, community services 21.3%, agriculture, hunting, forestry and fishing 17.8%, and manufacturing basically 13.2%. I think when we put the Economic Summit together and we brought all our keynote speakers in, and I will take you through as we go through the presentation, to just make you understand where we are as a local municipality and how we see everything coming together at the end of the day. Sectors making the largest contribution to Mbombela's economy is manufacturing, finance, community services, transport and trade. You won't see tourism there because in South Africa we don't count tourism as a specific sector. But we're hoping in years to come the situation would look a little bit different. This is my responsibility, is to share with you my department today. I think many people, and there's many local municipalities and officials that's here, we had a lot of people coming in from Limpopo and their LED units to come and sit down with us in the municipality and say what it is that we are doing. And sometimes we do travel, sometimes we travel internationally, sometimes we travel domestically to go and learn from each other. And the most important thing is implementation at the end of the day. My department consists basically out of 3 units. We are responsible for local economic development. We are responsible for tourism and we are responsible for trade, and in that the informal traders. So we are physically responsible from the informal trader that is selling on the street to the multi-dollar or multi-million dollar company within the municipality. We have managers for all three of those sections. My manager for local economic development is Mr. Ernest Jele. My manager for tourism is Mr. Morgan Mabasu. And my manager for trade is Mr. Henry Ngwenyama. Currently we have 18 staff members within our unit, and I think for that is already a record in any LED department within the province. And the best part is the bottom, that our council has just approved that our newly approved organizational structure, we will be 41 staff members, which would be implemented over the next 3 years. If you really want to change your economy around within your municipality, there's one thing that you need, and this is what we have in our municipality, and that is the political buy-in. If you have your politicians buy in to say that this is important and this is the sector and this is the department that is going to drive the economy within the municipality, you can be successful. It was very important for us to understand the economy. It's important for us to capacitate us. And like I said earlier, it's teamwork at the end of the day. No one person can be successful. It's really team. Team members that will take responsibility for their different functions and their streams to make it a success. We have various departmental objectives and key function areas. And our first job, many people say we're supposed to create jobs. We are supposed to stimulate the economy that it creates job opportunities that will reduce unemployment and poverty. We need to create an enabling environment. I think one of the things that we really try to do as a department is to become the middleman between the business sector and local government. Just to give you an idea, about 2 years ago we implemented our new rates and taxes policy. And basically what happened is, you know, those policies come from national government and you just implement it. And you don't understand what is going to be the impact of that policy within your businesses. And as soon as we implemented the rates and taxes policy, our accommodation establishments went from residential properties to business, which means they really went from paying 300 Rand a month to 3,500 Rand a month. And immediately as a unit we stepped in and we came up with a structure. It took us a year because the budget was already introduced that time and approved, that we came up with a specific rate, specific between residential and business, where these people can actually function in. And as an LED unit, that is your responsibility to listen to what businesses are saying. And this is really the objective of this summit, is to say, business people out there, and I want to thank all our business people that came out today, say, what is it that we as municipality need to do? We need to build beneficial relationships with relevant economic stakeholders. We have built our relationships with some of the other municipalities, local government, national government, internationally even. But the summit's responsibility, or the objective of this summit, is to now start building that relationship with our private sector. Develop and market our economic products within the municipal area. And I will show you a few of our products that we have produced. Develop and promote our businesses. Promote MLM to become a preferred investment destination, empowering our communities through skills training. And this week, with the keynote speakers, we were traveling through the municipality. And if I can maybe just say what Mr. Harris Rosen said, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh my God, it's beautiful. And I think sometimes we're in the province and we forgot, or we have forgotten that oh my God, it is beautiful. And that's why we've got God's window, isn't it? Because it's so beautiful. Providing a professional service to all our customers, and then to provide information and regulate our economic activities. I just try to indicate on this slide what, as a unit, we are really doing. We're trying to do business development. You will see where LED tourism and trade features. So the blue is LED. This is where we spend most of our time as a LED department. You can see we look at business development and investment and promotion. On the tourism side, we're really focusing a lot currently on business and tourism marketing, investment and promotion as well, research and stakeholder engagement. And then on the trade side, you will see there's a lot of business regulation. Remember, we are responsible for the informal traders within our municipality. And this is where we need to try to find the middleman between formal business and informal business. I would like to share with you some of our achievements that we have achieved since 2009. Basically, the unit started in 2009 where we totally turned our focus on what was used to do. You remember the previous LED projects of vegetable gardens and building bakeries and things like that, to say what is it that we as a department needs to do. And the first thing, coming from an academic background, we were laughing, you know, I've got my previous employers here, Professor Shongwe, Dr. Nevutalo. I have my current employers and hopefully my future employers as well. So what we have is the first thing that we need to do from a research point of view was to determine what is the baseline. Who's the people that is in our municipality? If I ask you if you're working for local government and you're working for an LED department, do you know your businesses? And we didn't. We didn't know who was our businesses. We didn't know how many businesses we had. We didn't know who's our accommodation establishment owners. We did not have that information. And we really started as a team. We got into our cars, we got our GPS points, and we started driving through our area. And in some of the rural areas, we had to stop our car because of the bad roads, and we had to get out and walk to see if there's businesses out there that we didn't know, which was quite a good accomplishment for us, and we're very proud of that. Then basically what happened from 2009, 2010, during the 2010 FIFA World Cup, we developed a visitor guide. And this was really, you have one of these samples within your packages. Now this was the beginning. As you can see, it's still 2010. You can see still the stadium. You can see our previous mayor. I think our new mayor is much more, you know, sexier at least. You can still see the mayor. You can still see some of the old 2010 FIFA World Cup. What is good about FIFA? It really created an opportunity for us as a municipality. And what we are doing is that this is a product that is going to continue. We've already appointed somebody now to actually update this version for us so that we can send it out again. 450 accommodation establishments, eateries, that people can now know when they come into the municipality. We also created our tourism map. You also had an example of that within. And then, of course, I think many of the people that is currently here, some of our keynote speakers, Professor Jafar Jafari, Professor Fefsi Ukumus, those were some of our keynote speakers during our international conference on global sustainable tourism. And this is actually the momentum that was created after that conference, the economic summit, and hopefully better things to come. There's our visitor guide, our tourism map. And then a partnership or a project that we are very, very happy with is our CLGF, Commonwealth Local Government Forum project. About 3 years ago, we were actually linked up with Sunderland City Council in the UK. And they're going to share, just in a while after my presentation, what it is that we have learned. It's like our executive mayor said this morning. It's good and fine for the municipality to go and listen, but it was important for us to come and share what we've learned to the people on the outside and say, this is what a local government has done. They've taken the unemployment rate of 20%, they've changed it around, and it's now 5% before the economic recession. I'm sure you have seen the comic strip, what shall we say? Mandisa, help me here. There we go. Very nice words and big words. Doctors can't say those words. And what we're trying to do is we're going to put it on YouTube, we're going to put it on Facebook so that other municipalities can see what was the objectives of our project, and with the generous contribution of GIZ, we had a product that we can put out there now. And then it was also important for us to look at our informal traders. As a department, we are not removing our informal traders from the street. We will make their conditions better, and we will see how we can uplift them. I think in 2010, of course, it was the 2010 FIFA World Cup, which we were very proud of. As a department, we were responsible for all the marketing, tourism, events, attraction, and communication during the event. And then it was also a time where we improved, or where we actually developed our investment incentive policy with the help of Sunderland City Council, which was approved by Council. And then very important, I think if you're all working for local government and from the business sector, I really want to ask you, every year we put out a business satisfaction survey. And this is our measurement, to speak to businesses and say, are you happy with the services that the municipality is currently providing? We did it last year, and Ernest Jelly, a little bit later during the 2 days, we would ask you as businesses to complete the business satisfaction survey for us and say, this is it what you as a department can improve on. And that assists us. This is a product that I'm very proud of. I think we're the first municipality on a local municipality level, basically, that has produced a product, our business portfolio. It contains 2,500 of our businesses and saying who they are, what they are doing, and it assists us to market them. And we use all these products when we travel, when we go overseas, when we're looking at investors coming into the area to share with them the different businesses. I know the executive mayor is very, very proud of this one specifically. Remember I told you that we are responsible for the informal traders as well? And what we decided is there's a guy for the locals, his name is Becky. We've got many Beckies in our lives. His name is Becky. He's sitting and he's selling arts and craft work in front of Pick n Pay. I would like you quickly, if you have your business portfolios with you, to go to page number 30. Becky is physically trading on the street. If you go to Pick n Pay now, you will find him on the paving, selling his products. And this is Becky's product, page 30, page 31, and page 32. And this is what we are proud of as a department, to say that even the people who do not have an office, who do not have a website, who do not have a cell phone number, as a municipality, we can start uplifting them, we can start marketing them, and we can assist them to become bigger business owners. So I hope that many of the other municipalities will follow in our footsteps and really develop something for the informal businesses as well. Then after we've basically created all our marketing material, it was important for us to start creating relationships with our businesses. And as a department, we targeted our biggest employers. And if you really look around you this morning, and I don't want to say names actually, let me not do that, but our biggest businesses, it's something that we learned from Sunderland City Council, is to say, where do we start with stakeholder relationships? And they say, target your big businesses, those people that employ the most people, because those are the people that you want to keep happy, you want to see how you can assist them, and you want to actually expand. And we started as a unit visiting our local businesses, creating relationships and creating a partnership. And if you look in front, if you look all over the venues, you will see sponsorships. And these sponsorships came only because of one reason, and that is because of our partnerships and our relationships that we have with different people in the industry. And from my side, and Mr. Vincent Barbusa is standing with the camera currently, he's our LED officer. He's worked tremendously hard in actually gaining in sponsorships throughout the Economic Summit. Thanks, Vincent. So we did the visitor guide again, we did the tourism map in 2011 as well, and then we implemented the tourism learnership project where we actually employed 45 people at the end of the day, and we would like to continue with that. And of course we will continue with our trade stores and our trade development. Mark, how's my time? All right. So what are we doing? As local government, we go to our communities. It's called the IDP process every year, Integrated Development Plan. And we've got 39 wards within the municipality, and we ask communities, what is it that you want us as local government to do? So we only implement what communities request of us, and that is our mandate as a local government. These are our projects and our plans that is currently within our IDP that we will believe will have a huge impact within the municipality. The first is really the baby of the mayor, if I can say it like that, her child, and that is our International Convention Center. And what I want to do is, during the Economic Summit, I talked about Sunderland City Council. Dr. Ramdani is going to speak on informal trading, and that's why we have the visitor guide and the arts and crafts brochure. The International Convention Center will be addressed tomorrow in the panel discussion, where the different professors will share their experiences on ICC development and interactive centres, as well as TUT. Another one that I would like to highlight is the development of a tourism interactive centre. There, Professor Ron Logan, during the summit, is really going to speak about his experiences in Disney World, his experiences in theme park development, interactive centres, and we're going to listen to that. And then also the promotion and expansion of our UDZ area. I think Ms. Suli Mutsweni is going to discuss the importance of communication within the municipality and how we as media need to work actually with the municipality in positioning the municipality as an investment incentive friendly environment. Sorry about that. We will also look at, and something that is very close to our heart is our LED strategy. You know, LED strategies is a compulsory in South Africa. But as a municipality, we have decided that we will not have, like the executive mayor said, the Mickey Mouse strategy. We will have not a mediocre, it will be a quality LED strategy that is implementable and that will make a difference in our community's lives. We're going to look at a tourist information center at the stadium, which is at quite a, what shall we say, we've progressed with it quite well. Product and skills development workshops, we're going to continue with our tourism ambassador project, and we're also busy with a long-term strategy for our informal traders. According to the IDP, what we are currently implementing, my department is responsible for 44 projects, and we are governed by our communities, which is very important for us. Current challenges that we're really facing as a department is land ownership, law enforcement. We know that the informal traders is not in control so many times, and we're really trying to address that and really space allocation. And I would like to end off my presentation today to say, what is really our way forward? I want to encourage business people. This is really the beginning of a very good partnership between private and public sector. I want to encourage you, we're busy with our review of our LED strategy, our tourism sector plan, as well as our informal trade plan. And I want you to assist us by attending the meetings. Don't come afterwards after the program and the plans have been approved by council and say, but we did not have input. We would like to invite you today to take our hands during this time and work with us when we go through the sector plans. Very important for us is the implementations of our lessons that we've learned and the priorities as indicated in our IDP and our LED strategy, because those are the needs of our community. And I believe by doing that, we will address the unemployment rate within our municipality. We will change our economy around like Sunderland City Council has done it, but it will be with a team effort between private and public sector. Thank you very much. Can I take this?
Winston Churchill said that success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. And take my hats off to all leaders, specifically Matilda and your team. It's through perseverance. Mother Teresa said, the Lord will never test me beyond what I'm able to endure. I just wish you wouldn't trust me so much. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Narissa Ramdani. She will address us on the role of creative industries in local economic development, specifically arts and culture. I apologize, thank you. I picked up on that immediately. Too slow. Thank you. Fortunately, Henry Truman, Councillor Henry Truman, his friends call him Harry. Harry, I must apologize for that. Harry will address us on how to maximize on inward investment and economic development within local municipalities, and specifically the story of Sunderland City Council in the United Kingdom. Harry's been serving as a councillor for Washington West in Sunderland for 18 years, where he carries the responsibility for creating the attractive and inclusive city, a sustainable community, and a safer city. He's also responsible for the efficient, coordinated management and use of council's human and IT resources. certainly is proud of being a councillor for 18 years, being a server in the community. And the thing that few people know, and because he's so far from home I can tell you this, is that he loves ballet, but he acknowledges he really doesn't appreciate it properly. Harry, will you take the podium and put your warm hands together if you will, and welcome Harry. Thank you for that.
Good morning, elected mayors. Good morning, honoured guests. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be in your beautiful country, but very saddened that I won't have enough time to see more of it. I've been elected member for 18 years and enjoyed every minute of it, and hope that I can continue for many years yet to serve the people of Sunderland. I want to start by giving you a bit of an idea where Sunderland is and a little bit of our history. Sunderland is located around about 270 miles from the capital London, down in London down to the south of us. We have around 280,000 people living in our city, but within a radius of 20 miles of Sunderland, the population is around 2 million, with 2/3 of those people of working age. Around the 1980s, we began to lose our coal mines, our shipbuilding, and along with those losses, we saw our heavy industry that had worked to supply those industries start to close because of lack of work. We had a thriving glass industry in Sunderland. I worked there for around about 12 years, not producing window glass or plate glass, but actually producing scientific glass, which was used in the chemical industry where pipelines needed to be clear and non-corrosive. Sadly, from the 1980s, our large industry closing, round about the year 2000, we actually saw the end of our glassmaking industry, and that was Pyrex, and probably you'll know that it's oven to tableware, but it was a thriving industry employing a lot of people in Sunderland. We now have housing on that site. So lots of people unemployed, and the majority of them highly skilled, used to working with their hands, manufacturing, riveters, welders down in the shipyards, many engineers working in the coal mines, and even people using their hands to actually dig out the coal. So Sunderland had to change. We had to find new industries, and our people had to retrain. And together, the council and the people have done exactly that. We started to look outwardly for new companies, not just in England, but around the world. And these are some of the companies who were located in our city. Nissan Motor Company, BAE Systems, Rolls-Royce, Liebherr Cranes, the banking sector, phone companies, power companies, software companies, all providing a mix of work, engineering, manufacturing, and IT skills. And as you can see from the slide, 8,000 jobs attracted to our city, $2 billion worth of investment, or 16 billion rand of investment in the last 5 years. And the people did retrain. They learnt new skills which enabled the companies to flourish and remain in Sunderland. These are some of our key assets. All of these together help Sunderland and our companies to grow and be successful and commit to the city. Competitive finance incentive packages, which we've put together to help our companies grow and to actually employ our people. Local workforce are now renowned for their skills, their loyalty and their adaptability. Some of the investment of the City Council has given 20 million, 150 million rand in financial incentives, marketing and promotion. And in addition to this, we have invested in the infrastructure projects. You have to have stuff ready if you want companies to settle in your city. We are very fortunate to have excellent investment officers, and I have Janet Snaith with me today, the head of our investment team, who have worked tirelessly for many years to bring us where we are today. We also have commitment in our politicians. We are the biggest group in the city. Out of 75 councillors, we hold 54 seats. So we're quite a strong voice, and we're all very committed. Sunderland's economy, as I said, was decimated after losing our traditional industries, and as you can see, our employment peaked at 22% in the mid-1980s, 3 times the current rate. You can see there we have a picture of the famous, I believe it's famous now, the Nissan Qashqai, which Nissan produce at alarmingly rates, and they are sent and exported around the world. They are also producing an electric car, the Leaf, and building a battery plant which will actually supply that car, providing more employment. And being one of our biggest employers now, there are many, many add-on companies who actually now are in being and produce goods for that company and employ a lot of people. We are continuing to restructure the local economy, exploiting opportunities, as I've just said, in the automotive manufacturing, but also in contact centres. Our economic master plan is a live document identifying new opportunities such as our port for offshore and wind power, and we are working in our city centre to improve our retail and leisure offer. Anyone who has visited Sunderland will have seen that we have a lovely beach, a nice coastline. We have a port which is now on the up and attracting inward investment, and we're gaining a lot of business now. We are actually about to construct a new bridge. Our river is spanned by 2 bridges, 3 if you include what people say is a road crossing. That's the Hilton Bridge. So when is a bridge not a bridge? But we definitely needed another crossing. That bridge will cost around £120 million. We have just secured in the last month from the coalition government 82.2 million of that money in pounds, which will come into our council to actually get that project started. And we're hoping that we can actually get that started this year to be finished in 2015, again producing an enormous amount of jobs and local jobs at that. We call this death by PowerPoint in England, you know. On this slide are some of the key activities that we need, and they all have got to come together. Very important that these come together, and it makes our city vibrant, a place where people want to live, a place where people want to learn, and a place where people want to work. High quality, low business premises. You must have those ready for the people coming along who want to locate in your city. Financial incentive packages where you can help them to look for staff, to recruit staff, and even to train staff. University facilities and a pool of high quality graduates. We are a university city. Sunderland University in our city attracts many students from around the world. And we need to support the public institutions, and the local politicians are there and do that and do it very, very good. Foreign investment. 70 companies originating in 15 different countries have chosen to locate in Sunderland. Together they employ 20,000 people. We are confident the approach of the work that we are doing is paying dividends. We have the most productive automotive industry in the world based in Sunderland, and we are the most advanced IT city in the UK. We've just completed a deal with British Telecom to supply our residents with high-speed broadband. And we have done a deal with IBM, who will build for us a computer cloud. That computer cloud will not only ensure that the council can talk to each other without being divided, but that our citizens can access the cloud. And a spin-off from that is that other companies are now saying to Sunderland, can you store our data at your centre where it is totally secure? And for that we will start to receive, and are already receiving, payments from those companies so that we can store their data. We have a saying in Sunderland, we are open for business. You come and talk to us, the least you'll get from us is our team sitting down with you and giving you advice. If you relocate or you locate in Sunderland, we will look after you. The leader of the council is very keen that that message gets across. This is an interesting fact for us. For some reason, less than 1 in 10 of our residents are self-employed. We do have what we call lifestyle business, which is hairdressing and jobbing tradesmen. I think we all know the man or the woman who can turn their hand to anything, plumbing, electricians and so forth. And we believe that this is possibly down to a tradition that the big industries that we once had in the city, people actually like to work for large employers. There may be some cultural issues, but we need to do a lot of work around this area, and that work has started, and we look forward to that continuing. As you can see from this slide, Sunderland is almost unique in the UK, offering significant financial packages to encourage business to invest in the area. Job creation grants are available to recruit staff and help with the training of staff, as well as using a range of national and government initiatives. One of the things that we have been looking at closely is apprenticeships. We seem to have gone away from apprenticeships somewhat, and our youth are telling us that they would like to go into apprenticeships. We're not sure if our youth are being pushed down the wrong road from coming out of school and college and further education, but someone once said to me at a recent seminar, manufacturing is the job for life. You need to use your hands, you need to be able to get back to some of the skills that we once used in Sunderland. And as I mentioned earlier, we have an excellent business investment team that's available for help and advice. Sites and premises. As I said earlier, We have good road, air and rail links in Sunderland. We can fly down to London quite quickly. We can be in London by train in about three and a half hours. London being the capital where a lot of the business is done, and certainly we had to travel down there to meet the government to get that investment that I mentioned earlier for the bridge. We've developed a range of sites and premises in advance of demand, a mix of factories and office space ready to assist with new companies, or indeed ready for companies who want to relocate. They may want something bigger, and that means probably further employment. Going through a couple of the next slides, it gives you an idea how successful two of our business parks are, and an idea what companies have there. Doxford International Business Park, a 125-acre site located on the outskirts of Sunderland with around 1.5 million square feet of office space. This site is supplied with cutting-edge IT. As I said earlier, BT are busy with that work, and there's 7,500 highly skilled people are employed with a number of world-class companies, and some are listed below. The training and the retraining of our people has enabled the work for these companies, these world-class companies, using advanced IT skills. And this is not just our younger generation. This is some of our people who once worked in the industries, particularly heavy industry, and they have retrained and are providing a fantastic workforce for those companies that are now in Sunderland. Renton Bridge Business Park. This is our next generation of office sites, 54 acres of land in a very strategic location, again on the outskirts of our city. As you can see, our anchor tenant on the site is RWE npower, employing 2,000 people. And the site also houses a number of software companies, again making use of high capacity connectivity. We are just about to finish a building in the centre of the city, which we have called Software City. And this is the type of buildings that you recognise that Sunderland is now becoming famous for. We are an IT city, changed from heavy industry and manufacturing. And because both of the sites are located on the outskirts of the city, they are easily accessed by supply companies, or certainly by the workforce, who can get there quite easily by the relative roads, links or rail trains. These are some of the things that we think are important to help the business succeed and stay in Sunderland. And as you can see, the last point is something we need to do, and we've already started working to comply that Redchester. You need to develop partnerships with the private developers. Pursue the sector's initiatives in the arts and the crafts. It's not just about IT, it's not just about being able to build cars. And you need that comprehensive Redchester of the local businesses. Just some key messages. Politician will never underestimate your value or your role in serving the people that have elected you. They need you to regenerate the area. You always and will always need good officers. Officers who are highly skilled, who you can trust, that you can form a relationship. Because at the end of the day, you form the policy. The officers carry that policy out. And it has to be for the good of the people. Or next time round, you might not be the politician. Your local workforce is your best friend. trained right and treated right, they will return huge dividends. And we have found in Sunderland that all of our industries actually end up with very, very loyal staff. I myself was 12 years in the glass industry and 25 years with British Telecom. I was a politician while being at British Telecom, and I think they decided, you're doing more for the council than what you're doing for British Telecom, would you like an early leaving package? And 6 years ago I actually took that opportunity, and I was able to continue politics, well, full-time, although I was nearly full-time before, and I'm now delighted to have been given the role last May as the Deputy Leader. I just think I'll finish now with that last phrase. Remember that panaceas don't work. There are no easy answers or quick fixes. Just energy, commitment, and a long-term view. I wish you all the very best for your future. I'm sure you will survive. I'm sure you will come out good. You're already recognised in the world as an emerging country with great people, and I hope the future for a great economy. Thank you very much.
Do you need to stretch those arms? Thank you very much. You can stretch them. If we do it in unison, we can start that side. And while you're doing that, I'll tell you the SABC is starting with the first interview in about 2 minutes with one of our guest speakers. I hope they don't come in here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, it's my pleasure to correctly this time introduce Dr. Larissa Ramdani, who will address us on the role of the creative industries in local economic development, arts and culture, and specifically she'll be talking around the Ifa Letu model. Larissa is the CEO of the Ifa Letu Foundation, which is a national foundation devoted to entrepreneurial development in South Africa. She's been involved in the Nelson Mandela Special Project and has consulted in many countries to the United Nations. She's passionate about economic empowerment and entrepreneurship, especially with regards rural women and the youth. With artists, crafters, and fashion designers, thank you, she has turned raw talent into commercially viable business. Before I ask you to welcome with warm hands Larissa, I will ask you to turn your cell phones off. Warm hands, can we have them? Larissa, thank you.
Program Director, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I must say, I'm really honored to be here today. Firstly, as a speaker at a conference addressing such a critical issue of local economic development. And secondly, I'm very pleased because Mpumalanga is the province of Mpumalanga is one of our targets for Ifa Letu's Poverty Alleviation Program for 2012-2013. And we bring with us for these particular projects in 2012-2013 the strength of our London partners, which include Christie's, Bonhams, the Barclays Premier League, UK Investment in the House of Lords, and the International Marketing Council of South Africa, and JP Morgan, of course. Having said that, for those of you who have driven here today, you've probably seen many craftspeople along the roads, not just here, but even when you drive in other parts of South Africa. These are men and women whose only source of income derives from the sale of products which are a result of their creative talents. Talents that have passed from generation to generation and that preserve our people's cultural heritage. But I'm going to come back to this issue later. What I would, however, like to do today in my address on the role of the creative industries in local economic development is to begin by looking at cultural heritage and the socio-economic development of society, and then proceed to examine how it has contributed to national economies and to development at a global level. This review is important in allowing me to examine cultural contribution to South Africa with reference to the model provided by the Ifaletu Foundation. Now, during the UN Millennium Summit in 2000, 189 world leaders signed the Millennium Declaration, which committed the world to meeting the Millennium Development Goals by 2015. 12 years on, despite remarkable progress in some countries, the world seems to be falling short in the achievement of these goals. The consequence of that is that improvements in the lives of the poorest peoples of the world are happening at an unacceptably low pace, and in some countries, hard-fought gains are being eroded. Some experts have predicted that at the current pace, several of the 8 MDGs and associated targets are likely to be missed in many countries. The challenges have been seen to be most severe in the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and some small island states, many of which are found on our continent. Now, according to the report of the Summit of September 2010, if the 8 MDGs are to be fully achieved by 2015, not only must the level of financial investment be increased, but innovative programs and policies aimed at overall development and economic and social transformation must be rapidly scaled up and replicated. The Ifaletu Foundation, through its mandates and functions, has focused on how the continent of Africa, and South Africa specifically, can use culture and heritage to assist the process of achieving the Millennium Goals of by 2015. I will speak about this later. But in essence then, what I'm saying is that these Millennium Goals cannot be achieved without strong growth. And it is the creative sector, through creative entrepreneurship, that may contribute to this growth through its potential in terms of employment linked to services, a particularly important sector for economies with little industrialization. My argument is strengthened by statistics, by international literature, which indicate as follows. Now, this is interesting. In 2003, this sector contributed significantly to the GDP at the level of 3.2% in Norway, 3% in Great Britain, and 2.3% in the Czech Republic. The effect on employment was also significant. In Asia, the cinema industry alone employs more than 4 million people and represents approximately $26 million. In Latin America, the copyright industries contributed 2% to the GDP of Chile and 2.7% to the national employment between 1990 and 1998. In Brazil, the cultural industries represented 6.7% of the GDP and 5% of employment. Now, regarding France and Great Britain and Norway, a comparison with figures for the agro-food industry reveals that the results of the cultural sector are higher. Therefore, I would contend that in most countries, the cultural sector greatly contributes to their economic growth, especially since their growth indices are greater than GDP growth rates. It is therefore clearly apparent that this sector may constitute an engine of growth if states and other players establish institutional, legal, and economic environments favorable to its development. Now, having said that, let's look at South Africa. There is no doubt that the cultural sector is a key economic driver in the country's tourism industry. The Department of Trade and Industry estimates that South Africa's creative sector alone contributes about 2 billion rand, or 0.14% to South Africa's GDP annually. In addition, the sector provides jobs and income for approximately 38,000 people through an estimated 7,000 small enterprises. But I believe we can do far better than that. The creative sector can also be used as a catalyst for rural economic development and for fostering expansion in the economy, especially by women and youth. I emphasize youth, ladies and gentlemen, because South Africa has a youth unemployment rate of 70%. Furthermore, as the art of designing and producing cultural products is handed down from generation to generation, members of communities have an opportunity to work together and impart knowledge and social values to one another. It is for these reasons that we continue to say that cultural heritage represents both an economic activity and a cultural practice. And moreover, tourists are attracted to a particular area because of its cultural and heritage significance. Now, while this presents a very positive scenario for South Africa, we do face a very serious developmental problem. According to the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, when it comes to entrepreneurial activity, South Africa performs poorly in comparison to other emerging economies. Now, while the South African government remains committed to supporting small enterprises as one of the drivers of the levels of economic growth needed to make an impact on poverty and unemployment in the country, it is unable to successfully support such incentives and initiatives. But then how do we ensure that South Africans, especially youth and women involved in the creative industry, acquire the necessary skills which make them perform with distinction and sustain themselves successfully? Or how do we create the best possible enabling environment for business activity and sustenance for youth, and to secure their involvement in more established national processes and organizations? What kind of skills do we introduce? Now, the skills that need to be acquired are the ones that would enable youth to gain access to economic opportunities presented by the country's developing economy. Normally, we would classify many disadvantaged creative practitioners as those belonging to the second economy as defined by former President Thabo Mbeki. However, for them to be part of the first economy, they would have to acquire certain skills which will enable them to access such opportunities. And in such a manner, they would be able to participate in the growing economy. Now, in the last year, our Minister of Higher Education prioritized the exploration for the exploration of post-school opportunities for young matriculants and for adults. He also introduced the implementation of the third phase of the National Skills Development Strategy to accelerate skills development in South Africa. Now, this initiative, as well as IFALETU's programs in the country, finds synergy with national impact priorities. Now, how has IFALETU implemented strategic interventions to ensure that creative practitioners are skilled and make a positive and far more substantial impact on economic development in South Africa? Now, the foundation has an interesting history. its work has international and national significance. It's a Pretoria-based not-for-profit organization which was launched in 2005 by then Minister of Arts and Culture, Dr. Pallo Jordan, to repatriate South Africa's struggle-era art and heritage back to the country and to roll it out to South Africans through creative, educational, cultural, and human rights programs. As a result, material has been repatriated from 24 countries thus far. But by harnessing our lessons over the last 3 years or so, and in order to respond to current challenges in the heritage sector, Ifaletu took the decision to implement the developmental aspect into its work. This was guided by research, which pointed to the lack of available and related skills in the sector, and the failure to use heritage to create a more entrepreneurial society in South Africa. The foundation today enjoys an impressive track record of developing entrepreneurs nationally, creative entrepreneurs. And this allows Ifaletu to align its work to the Millennium Goals and national priorities. And through its work over the last 3 years, it has successfully trained and assisted 2,300 young practitioners in the rural nodes of South Africa in the areas of visual arts, craft, sculpture, fossilized heritage, and fashion, resulting in 800 businesses being created, 2,300 young people gaining further employment, 150 new businesses being spawned in relation to the creative sector. And the South African government undoubtedly views the work of the foundation as an important contribution to addressing national priorities. We believe that economic growth and a sustainable income for families and communities can be achieved through the creative spirit. So many of the people you see on the side of the roads, who I alluded to at the beginning of my presentation, have little or no education, no marketing or business skills. They live from day to day, hoping that they would sell, at the worst, one item. The money they make for the day will feed the family for the night. Tomorrow is another day, and when the whole process starts again. That these rural practitioners are exploited by tourists, buyers, exporters is a fact. What sells for 100 rand in Limpopo can be advertised for anything up to 1,000 rand in high-priced curio stores around the country. Ifaletu has thus developed a program of skills and enterprise development workshops in partnership with the University of Pretoria's School of Entrepreneurship, as well as incubator programs for rural youth and women. And this has been done in response to the requirements of transformation and economic growth needs. Through its 4-phase training programs, which include product development, business entrepreneurship, the development of business incubators, and the distribution models offered in all provinces, Ifaletu has transformed these creative practitioners into successful business people. I do recall, my emphasis is on export-ready, market-ready products. This emerges from an experience I had 3 years ago when I approached Macy's in the United States to purchase products created by our fashion designers as a South African project that they should support. And the answer to me was quite plain: we won't touch it because South Africa produces substandard goods. And that is very important in all of our training programs, because it does not mean that if you can create a beaded doll or a fossilized heritage product that you're in business. That is why the creation of market-ready products remains critical to our program. From our initial projects in Mamelodi, in Ngove, etc., we have moved to many of the rural areas in South Africa. Our recipe is to send in our Creative Hands mobile workshop, assess the creativity, output, and buy-in of the community, refine the skills to market readiness and global quality, and ultimately open an incubator where the participants can work. We have recently opened incubators in 4 provinces in South Africa, where their products are now being marketed internationally. Our fashion design graduates have their products now replacing international brands such as Pringle at the duty-free stores at the airports. We have partnered with Professor Lee Berger at Wits University in the fossil casting project, which started in 2009. This has spawned 4 successful businesses, with our young people having supplied products to the World Summit on Sustainable Development in China and to COP17 in Durban, and has been highlighted in the August edition of National Geographic magazine. A critical component of Ifaletu's work is the promotion of green issues. It is evident that climate change, rising sea levels, and the resultant scramble for limited resources pose a serious threat to the cultural sector. So the key components in our programs are to focus on teaching rural youth and communities about the importance of environmental responsibility. Since Ifaletu aims to create sustainable programs and not those that leave participants with resource challenges, it focuses on using locally available material, either natural or recycled, for the production of market-ready products in the areas of craft and visual arts. These include the use of clay, wood from fallen trees, recycled telephone wire, and recycled glass for the production of highly sophisticated, export-ready jewelry, cutlery, and houseware. I'll give you an example. A small investment of 1 million rand in the Ngove village in Limpopo has yielded a return of within 3 years of 15 million rand for the community. So that's not a big ask in terms of the returns that can be generated by the creative sector. The green projects are conducted initially from Ifaletu's mobile facilities, which travel deep into the rural nodes of South Africa and include the provinces of Gauteng, Free State, Limpopo, Northwest, KwaZulu, and from this year, Mpumalanga. Now, while our projects fill us with excitement, even as we see creatively talented people realize their dreams and begin to support themselves and their families, we know it is not enough. The creative sector can be of great benefit to South Africa's tourism industry. It can assist with poverty alleviation, and it can feed the soul of a nation. Many pockets of assistance, such as those projects by Ifaletu, are existing in the country, some into the depressed rural areas. But where is the consistent and sustainable funding needed to really make a difference? Failure to pay attention to the sector will drag us into an endless quagmire of decline and a loss of our cultural heritage now and in the future. Our logo states, that's our payoff line, empowering the nation's soul. We believe that the creation of creative entrepreneurs will not only empower communities to be economically sustainable, but will create a sector that we can look on with pride, a sector that will carry our creative heritage to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a gentleman who, for the last 5 years, has been doing my garden. And he says he wants to resign. He wants a better job. And I can see that Harry, with his initiatives and dreams and plans, and the very local South African model on the ground, can provide some real hope for people. You know, at the end of the day, that's really what counts. We're going to have a question and answer session. And thank you very much for the speakers thus far. If I can ask the speakers please to make their way to the podium, I'd appreciate it. Harry, thank you. Matilda, thank you. And then if I can ask Janet as well. I'm going to introduce Janet. She's the only person you've not yet met. I'll tell you the thing about Janet that most people don't know. There's Janet, the blonde lady. is that she actually keeps chickens at home, yeah, so that she has fresh eggs every morning. Janet, I think many of the people in the room can actually associate with that. Many of them actually have their own chickens in their own homes. Janet is Harry's colleague. She hails from Sutherland in northeast England. She's devoted her career to diversifying the local economy through inward investment and indigenous business growth to create jobs, wealth and prosperity. She has expertise in economics, international marketing, developing business parks, property management and physical regeneration. Right, so at this stage it's questions and answers. We will be provided with one microphone for the front. We'll have two roving microphones. Should you have a question, what I'd like you to do, if you will, is stand up, introduce yourself by name, identify the person for whom the question is going to be directed, and ask the question. Is that good? Thank you so much for that. While it's being organized, I just wish to tell you that the movement of the speakers backwards and forwards, apparently the SABC and the media industry is an insatiable giant. When they call, you operate. So they've been going out for their various interviews. Also, you'll remember the prize being given to one of the delegates from Avis. Spoke about the car hire. Well, Dr. Mabunda has decided he's not going to be outdone. And from the Sand Park has offered for the same weekend accommodation for 2 in the Kruger National Park. If my microphones are ready. Apparently, there's a lot more coming. So please remember your business cards. You know where they must go. And of course, if you're not here tomorrow, you don't win. And your wife or your husband would be most upset with you, I'm sure. Where are my microphones you've got? Who are the roving micro? Thank you. And I've got my microphone in the front. Thank you. Let's get rolling. If I can have a couple of hands, I'm quite sure there are 1 or 2 questions. Didi, that's the first hand up. I like that. Can I have someone in the middle, please? Thank you. The second hand, you guys have got 1, 2 in the back there. That's good.
Good afternoon.
Didi, sorry, will you stand? If you'll introduce yourself.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Didi Swordlo de Costa. I'm from Nubita Commercial Services. My question is addressed to Dr. van Niekerk. You mentioned the initiative that you have within your office about forming some partnerships, especially with the meetings between your office and local business. What I want to find out is this initiative already in progress, or what's, how does one go about being involved in it? Thank you.
Matilda, have you got that? Thank you. Matilda suggests we ask a couple of questions. We can do that. If we can rotate the questions to different speakers, I'd appreciate that as well. Lady in the pink.
It's a very good day to each and everyone present here. I'm Councillor Malimane from Bombela. I was very impressed by the speeches which were delivered by Mr. Harry Truman and Ms. Ramdani as well. Firstly, I just want to know as to whether we are going to be given the speech which was delivered by Harry Truman, but because it was a very interesting and speech which one can benefit from it. I just want to know that. And I would be very happy if we can have a copy, or myself having a copy. And secondly, this is...
Sorry, will you ask your question? We will forward copies of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Do you have a question?
Secondly, it's directed to Ms. Ramdani. Ms. Ramdani is from a very important, whether to call it an institution, which is Ifaletu Foundation, which to me is very important to each and everyone, especially the youth and the young mothers.
Sorry, can you get you quick?
Then my question is,
Thank you. I don't mean to push. I'm running on a timeline. Sorry.
I won't feel free. And my question is, are the women? Oh, how can we in Bombela? How can we get hold of this institution so that we can assist the youth of Mbombela as well as the young mothers so that they can benefit, because it's deeply rural and the unemployment rate is too high. Thank you.
Excellent question. How can we benefit there? One more question at the back. Can I get a microphone moving there, please? This will be the last one, then we'll run into some answers. Okay, I'll take the question here. Thank you.
Hi, the name is Yats Gopal. I'm from Cape Town. I came here a couple of years ago to do some work and haven't stopped coming since. We've got some projects that we're working together to put together to create about 100 jobs. It's just two questions that I have. I think the one that I want to direct is the MEC Mokoena alluded to renewable energy projects, and having spoken to some people, I know the landfill sites are becoming a problem. Are there any projects underway at the moment, one to convert to some renewable energy from those landfill sites, or wind or something? And
is that question for Dr. Finika?
I would assume so, yeah.
Thank you.
And the other question basically is the issue of I would say informal traders, but more so especially the creative arts. And you know, this publication, this arts and crafts catalog must be applauded. But is it possible, or is there some work being done to create like a trading port for the informal traders and the creative arts people to, or besides the trading port, to be able to market their products better, look at distribution methods and networks, financial management skills training for them, and obviously investment growth in terms of that particular market? Thank you.
Very good. The last question, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask Janet from an outside perspective if she could maybe give some insight into that. But I'll also leave that with Matilda for now. Matilda, can we run? Right, I'm going to have one more question at the back there. Your hand did go up. Sorry, please watch me. Please watch me. I just wanted to go where we're pointing there. Just move across. Thanks.
Hi, Johan Sieber from Delta. Question for Councillor Truman.
Thank you.
One of the key things you've mentioned in your speech was the establishment of infrastructure before you can actually invite larger businesses. And the question is sort of a broad-based question here. Did Sutherland Municipality do that on your own? Did you approach national government to assist in infrastructure development? Because obviously there's a certain amount of capital that needs to be spent first before we can actually be able to bring new businesses to the area. Was it a public-private practice, certain local government, provincial government scenario? Because I think that's key for us from economic development in Mbombela, that it's a significant municipality in the area, but from a financial strength, we need to find some sources to first put this infrastructure in place.
Thanks, Harry. You got that? I'll take one more. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a question for Mr. Truman. Actually, two questions. Audrey Smith van der Merwe, I'm from the Mbombela Ratepayers Association. My first question would be, when it comes to generating income, for example, when you put in infrastructure, what kind of property rates and taxes system are you working on? Because in South Africa, we recently changed from where we had municipal valuations, then calculating rates and taxes. We now work on a system of market valuations, which substantially increase the rates and taxes, and I don't see tax incentives in attracting businesses to Mbombela. I think the other unique challenge that we have is that in our country we still sit with that apartheid legacy, where we had a center of the white areas, very well developed, and we have our rural areas that's not developed and don't have any proper infrastructure, water, proper roads and all of that. And I just see in this initiative, which is a concern to me, a lot of focus is bringing businesnes to Nelspruit, having people traveling very far still to come to employment opportunities, and what would be an alternative to that in getting businesses established in our rural areas, which is closer to people, giving them employment in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. They say that the quality of questions is the determination of leadership. And if we look at where we're going, it's the questions that really are going to provide the answers. I'm going to close the questions. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn to the panel. And although questions have been directed to specific members, there's a lot of wisdom on the table. And I'm going to ask the person who's been addressed to answer. But then each of you take liberty, if you will, to add to that. Can we do that? So it's a bit of a collective wisdom growth answer. Can we do that? We good? Matilda, would you like to start? Thank you. Can I have my microphones to the front, please?
Thank you very much. I think if we, can you hear me? 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. All right. I'm going to start by addressing some of the questions, and then I will give it over to some of my colleagues around the table. I think the first question was from Didi, speaking about partnerships and what we are currently doing. We have started visiting, like I said, our big businesses. And now we're currently doing, as we go, every week we try to at least visit about 10 to 20 of our businesses. So we have covered the malls, we've covered some of our big businesses, we've done all the hotel managers and like that. So it's really work in progress, and it will keep on like that. I don't think relationships come by having only one meeting with a person and don't come back. So it's really continuous, and sometimes we see some of our partners in Muck and Bean, and just sit down quickly with them and say hi while maybe they are with their families. So it's really becoming partnerships. It's something that we've really learned from Sunderland, the way that they interact with their businesses and the investors. And that is what we're trying to create. On the renewable energy projects for Mbombela, I actually have Councillor Mati with me, which is the political head. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to maybe request him to answer the question, or the general manager. But what we can do is we will give you specific information surrounding what we are planning on our waste disposal sites. What we have asked from a local economic point of view is that the areas at the new Tequani waste disposable site be earmarked for investment, so that we can bring in recycling companies. And I think that answers your question, if that's all right. Then on the creative arts, I fully understand that we've got the business portfolio. And with the business portfolio as a department, we have also last year have a function on poetry sessions. So we're also trying to look on that side and see how we can start developing and marketing the other creative arts. Johan, I think your question will be addressed by Councillor Henry, but Sunderland put the infrastructure in, but he will tell you where they get the finance from. And then on the property rights and taxes question, I think they will also answer it, Audrey. But I think what we can say there is that our investment incentive policy makes specific provision for tax breaks for investors to come in. There's a scale where they will pay 25%, 50%, 75%, up to 100%. And then we've also allocated against, let's say, the more developed side of the municipality and the rural side, which would get more benefits if you develop on the rural side than on the other side. So it's specifically to make sure that investment and the economy is more towards our rural areas as well. Thanks. Sorry, Janice just reminded me. All the presentations are being audio recorded as well as video recorded. So we will make all presentations available. We also have a facilitator that is currently busy facilitating and doing a report for us. So the report will also become available to everybody at the Economic Summit.
Could I just add, in relation to what Matilda's just said, Councillor Truman and myself are around for the whole of today and tomorrow So if there's anything on the presentation that you'd like to discuss with us, please just approach us and we'll be happy to talk to you in more detail about that. In relation to the point about infrastructure, and Councillor Truman will add to this, but historically in the UK, infrastructure has been funded by both national and local government. National government representing a lot of taxpayers' money in terms of roads and facilities for transport, airports, railways, and so on. But local infrastructure, particularly for economic development, has been around spending local rates and taxes to develop business parks, to develop property, and to provide the funding for grants and incentives to local business. Our City Council has a minimum budget of £1 million per annum for financial incentives, and that is generated from the local population, from domestic and non-domestic, i.e. business rates. And the City Council has been doing that since 1980. So that represents a very, very significant proportion of the local taxes going into supporting the economy. But clearly that has paid off very well indeed. We have in the past taken advantage of European funding in the UK. As a contributor to the European funds, we also can claim grants from Europe, which has also been a good source of support. But that, again, has got to be matched by local funding as well. So we try to maximise pots of money from central government, from Europe, as well as a significant proportion of locally raised funding.
Thank you, Janet. At the moment, you're probably aware in England we're having a recession like the rest of the world, and our council has to make £53 million worth of cuts this year. So that affects quite a number of our operations. What we've attempted to do in Sunderland is to at least protect our frontline services, particularly our services to the elderly, our children, and to the most vulnerable. And by achieving that, it's had to actually look at the offices and ask them to work out plans where we can cut this money from the budgets. We've created what is called a job link or a switch team, where many of our staff, rather than being paid off and made redundant, we've actually put them into a team with protected pay for a year where they've got the opportunity to retrain within the council. And that has worked very well. Although we are at a point where we will need to move on with this programme and look to an end in about a year's time. The infrastructure in Sunderland has been put together for quite a number of years, and in particular the gentleman who asked about the IT. The UK is very fortunate in being served by a very good IT network, and particularly British Telecom, who holds the licence to actually give the dial tone and has built up the infrastructure across England. What we found in our council, that our IT systems didn't actually talk to each other. It was difficult that the social service department had difficulty communicating with the housing department and so forth. BT have done this infrastructure build and are now committed to Sunderland to giving us 100% broadband to virtually, well, 99% of our people. Fibre optics are now in the ground, which comes and produces the lines and the IT to our big buildings. And a lot of our people are going to benefit from that. Money-wise, as Janet said, we get the money from wherever we can beg, bills, steal or borrow. But we are very prudent in our council and have built up a bit of a reserve, and a lot of the money is actually being put forward by our own council. But the good thing is this new cloud computing is now giving other companies the opportunity to buy from us our services, and we're hoping that that in itself will start to pay, not just for our outlay, but actually then start to produce some sort of profit.
Question asked was, how does Mbombela
benefit from Ifaletu's programs. As I indicated earlier on in my presentation, the province of Mpumalanga has been included in Ifaletu's poverty alleviation program for 2012-2011. And as one of the objects of this summit is to develop partnerships, we are hoping that some kind of partnership can be developed so that we can focus on Mpumalanga in a more structured fashion, as opposed to us focusing on the areas which we identify through our own research. But I think this links in very closely with the question asked by the gentleman about the cultural products which one sees in the catalog which we've been given. And it's wonderful to have those products, but the important thing is, how do you market them and distribute them? And this is where I think Ifaletu would be very interested in Mbombela in assisting with the implementation of a distribution and export model.
Thank you very much. We'll understand with a conference of this size. More questions, more answers. The good thing is it's all about people. We're about to break for lunch. You will see each other over a cup of coffee. Please ask the questions. I know that Matilda and her team will be creating a communication platform to facilitate more discussion in the future. At this time, and before I lose your concentration, may I just reflect on the passion in front of you. Harry said to me when we were meeting each other, he says, it's only in the last 5 years that the real change has happened. All the seeds were planted in the last 2 decades. The other thing is this, I want to encourage you to look to your right and your left and to recognize that your partner for tomorrow's answers might be sitting right next to you. To use the opportunity to explore the passion and the abilities, the talents and the skills in the people in the conference. One last time, your warm applause for our dedicated speakers.